Okay, now it's time for you to chart games and understand what's going on, pick up on the tendencies, and appreciate what's going on in the game. I'll give you an example before I go to the board. Andy Reid, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, first 10 plays of the game, 10 different personnel groups on offense. He's out there trying to find out how you're going to match up to him, and then he's going to get rid of 5 of them almost immediately and play to the formations and the personnel groups that you tell him you're not very sound against. So let me show you how we code personnels in the National Football League. You'll learn it in 2 minutes. You'll be able to use it yourself. It's a 2-digit system. We're going to arrive at 2 numbers, and we're going to call that a personnel group. The first number is how many running backs are in the game. So if I have 2 running backs in the game, the first number is 2. The second number is how many tight ends are in the game. 1 tight end in the game, 21 personnel. Because there are 5 eligible receivers in a game, you immediately assume 2 and 1 is 3. There's 2 left to make 5. There's 2 wide receivers. We do not declare the wide receivers when we group personnels. How many running backs? 1 running back in the game. How many tight ends? 2. 12 personnel. 1 and 2 is 3. That leaves 2 wide receivers in the game. So let's move over here and show you how you'll code a game. Your team's playing the Eagles. You got Andy Reid. You're dealing with Andy Reid. He comes out in the first play of the game. He's in a 10 personnel. 1 running back, no tight ends. He throws the ball. You put a hash mark in there. Second play of the game, he's in 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end. He runs the ball. And you can do this simply. He comes out in 12 personnel. Quiz time, everybody. How many running backs? That's right, 1. How many tight ends? 2. Throws the ball. Comes back and repeats that. Throws the ball again. As we move through the first half, here's what shows up on your chart. Something like this. Okay, what are you telling? And I was the booth coach. I'd be calling down to Pete Carroll, to Bruce Kozla, to anybody else I was talking to. How much are they in 10 personnel? 5 times in the first half, coach. What's the run-pass ratio? 5 pass, no run. You already know that. And then you'll have a production chart. You'll be able to see, hey, on those pass plays, they're averaging 11 yards per. And on these pass plays, there's 4 incomplete. Where's our problem? Right here. You're the team that represents this. Now you're an Eagle fan. You run the same chart. What do you want to see in the second half? You want more 10 personnel. You don't want 21 personnel of 0 yards gained here. You can do this chart in 2 minutes. I ran this chart every day, every play, every game. You now understand how the system works. It's a 2-digit system. First number is the running backs. Second number is the tight ends. Someone would ask you this question. I've been asked this many times. That's a tight end. He shifts off the line and goes in motion. Is he still a tight end? Maybe this is the most important thing I can tell you. We code personnels going into the huddle. Once they break the huddle, we've already determined what personnel in a game. And this is how it worked in the booth. I had binoculars. I stared down at the sideline of the opponent. I watched the personnel group go in. 12 personnels in the game. Now we go to our chart and figure out what have they done in 12 personnel for the last 4 games. Oh, it's 80% run call in the game. That's how the game is played. You can code personnel yourself. You can talk to me on my radio show. You can converse with the fans that already know it. You can go to a summer camp practice and run into an assistant coach and say, hey, coach, how's your 12 personnel doing? He'll stop and talk to you because he knows you know what you're doing. Personnel groupings. Well, we're in the charts now, and if you're really going to become that fanatic fan, you're going to start charting your own games. I'm going to introduce you to charts I've used in the National Football League, still used by a number of teams, and I think at first you might be a little intimidated, but you'll be fine. Now, these charts are all in the back of the book, and they're going to be available at patkerwin.com as well. Let's go to the board. Here's a chart that I will use during the game. Obviously not on paper this big, but for the illustration on the DVD, let's take you to the takeoff chart. What does that mean? I'm going to let the game flow in front of me as it's going, and if you're doing this live, a little bit of a challenge early, but at times you'll find yourself able to do it, and when you go to the videotape version, you'll be fine. So what series are we in? First series of the game. Play number 1. What's the down and distance? I want to teach you something here. It's P and 10. Possession start. That's different than 1st and 10, which you got when you earned a first down. First series, first play, P and 10, it's on the minus 20-yard line. That means you have 80 yards to go. If it's on the plus 20, you have 20 yards to go. Minus 20, and you know your personnel groups now. They're in 21 personnel. There's no motion. They were in I formation. They ran, and you can use your own language here, power right. That's fine. He gained 4 yards. There was no receiver. You saw a 3-4 defense. You saw the butt of the cornerback facing the boundary, so you knew they were in zone, and there was nothing special about it. Next play of the game comes. Still series 1. Play number 2. It's 2nd and 6. All right, we're on the minus 24. They switched personnel groups. They're in 11 personnel. Now they're in a one-back set. And as you get better with terminology, you'll be able to do other things there. And it's a 3-step pass. And it's a gain of 9. And it was a 3-4 defense, and they were in man-to-man. And you continue down, and the series ends right here. You draw a line. There were 5 plays in the first series, okay? And you know that at the end of it, you can give yourself a little note here. 3 run, 2 pass. Next series comes, series 2, play number 6. Right? We keep the play flow going so we know how many plays. When you get to the end of this chart, now we would send this chart down at the end of every quarter and let our coaches see what was going on with some notes on top. So at the end of the thing, they might have 8 run and 7 pass. And we might have a little note out here as we tabbed out some things that they're 7 for 7 in completions, and they've been in 11 personnel 4 times. You can tab it out and go to your next chart. It's an easy way to do it. At first, you're going to say, why would I want to do this? Because you learn the game. You're going to learn what the coaches are calling. You're going to know the personnel groups. And trust me on this, you're going to appreciate football a lot more. Well, as we continue with the charts, you've already seen the takeoff chart, and that's the flow of the game. That chart can now be transcribed to the down and distance chart. I know plenty of people that will skip the takeoff chart and go right to the down and distance chart, and maybe you will too. Let me explain how this works, and understand, the chart behind me is only a section of the down and distances, but I'll go over them with you so you understand what you need to be doing. Okay, P and 10 is your series starts. You know, the teams that come out to start a series have a different mindset than a team that just earned a first down and moved the chains. So we would always differentiate those, and you'll find out that P and 10 usually is balanced. Run, pass, about equal, but you can chart that easy enough. 1st and 10, euphoric. They just got the chains, they just moved them. They're either going to repeat the play they did, or they're going to come and try to throw on you a little bit more. 2nd, and that's how we take 2nd downs. 2nd down and more than 7 to go. Okay, you'll see that right over here, 2nd and 7 plus. 2nd and 3 to 6, you'll see that down below it. 2nd and 1 to 2. So we're going to look at the 2nd down calls and the 3rd down calls by breaking up the down and distance in those areas. And 4th down, not a lot of them. We group them together. We have 9 different boxes. So if you feel comfortable and you want to be efficient, maybe you skip your takeoff chart and you can operate right off this chart. And this is exactly that we use at the New York Jets. I use it at other places. A lot of colleges will use it. And you'll come in here. You know what the down and distance is, so it's 2nd and 7. They gain 2 yards on the first down play. You're waiting in this box. You see the run. Power right. The defense, 3-4. Okay, and then you might add plus 2 yards. Okay, what happens? He gained 2 yards. So what is it going to be? It's going to be 3rd down and what? 5. So you're already waiting in this box for the next play. And at the end of the first half, you've already seen all the run calls. Typically what will happen is you might see that many runs, 1 pass. You might see in 2nd and 3 to 6, that many pass, this run. You know that the coach of the other team has already decided there's an issue here. You might have to look a little deeper, but the box will help you understand that they're thinking run, ironically, on 2nd and 7, trying to get half of it back. We're on 2nd and 3 to 6. They're taking some shots down the field. You think you know it, but until you chart it, you don't. So take a shot at charting these games. As we continue on in the charts, now we get to some advanced charts. And some of you, again, are going to feel comfortable with this. Some of you are going to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to be great at it, but you got to give it a shot. So let's go and take a look at the advanced chart for situational play. Again, same down and distance premises are going to exist in the back of the book on all these charts. But instead of just writing down run and defense, you're going to be able to, maybe you feel comfortable doing it. I suspect you will be over time. Down and distance, P and 10. You already know that, so you can skip that column if you want to, but you might want to record it as the first one, the second one, so you can take a quick glance at halftime and say, they had 5 series starts in the first half. Yards, what yard line were they on? What was the play? Most of you know the fronts now. Take a shot at doing that. Take a quick peek at the corner. Can you do all this in one play? No. But you're going to have to do what I do. You have to go back and watch these games. And when you do, you will be ready for next Sunday. And then the result of the play. So this is just an advanced version of the chart that we just showed you on boxing off by down and distance all the opportunities that are going on in a game and giving you a really clear understanding. Let me give you one tip where I think this works. Let's say you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. You hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Your team's playing the Eagles next week. Don't be thinking about your team on Tuesday night. Go to NFL Rewind, watch the last game of your opponent, and chart them out. And find out what you think is going to happen. See if they live true to it, because your team is basing their game plan on the same charts you're building. Be part of the staff. As we go down the roads of these charts, they're not for everybody, and you may not need all of them, but I'm going to show you the other ones we use. A lot of times in film takeoff during the week, as we prepared for an opponent, want to get some tendencies and some tips about when they're playing man, when they're playing zone, and when they're blitzing. So we take you back to another form of the down and distance chart, and we're going to give you a chance to start hacking in here how many times you saw man. A lot of you are going to struggle. If you're just watching the game live on TV on Sunday, you're not going to get enough information to do this. You're going to have to go back and watch it. You better ask your wife if you're allowed to do that. Girls, you better ask your husband. I know more girls are doing this than the men. But here's a chance to start breaking down the defense. You might want to take this front coverage chart to your own defense. We've been talking about scouting your own offense. Maybe it's time for you to take a look at your own defense and start scouting what they're doing. That's what this chart will provide you. All right, it's the off season. You've been charting all season. You got a sense of how to do it. You feel like a better fan. But the off season's here, and it's time for the draft. And don't tell me the draft isn't exciting. We have a lockout, and we still had 39 million people watch the draft, but let's get ready for the draft. I'm going to take you to my own database format, the exact same thing I do to get ready for my radio show as I go to the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and workouts across the country. I have this chart right here. Player's name is in here, his school code, his position, his real position that he plays, and the one I think he's going to play in pro football, his height, his weight, which you can get at NFL.com, his length of his arm. When the Combine results come out, you can fill all these in. You're not going to get them all. You can fill them all. His production ratio, which we talked about today, you certainly can find that out. Red flags, as he failed a drug test. His strengths, as you think you know them, and his weaknesses. And at the end, we're going to let you rank the player. So when you put that together by each position, you can sit there on draft day and say, my team needs a running back. Flip to your running back chart, look at him, determine who you think should be next and why. Don't just sit there and go, oh, I think they should draft the kid from Alabama. Know why. Know why he's better than the other players. Look at his strengths and his weaknesses. This is how I get ready for the draft. I'm offering it to you if you want to try.